My name is Kate Emily Brinly, and I'm a global advocate and coach for people living with borderline personality disorder. I've founded an organisation called Each Person Counts, and we also provide advocacy for survivors and people with complex PTSD, and also institutional consultancy services. So the clip that I'm doing today is on the symptom in BPD, or disorder of extreme stress, whatever we want to label it as. This one is on the frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, and I've got a cup of tea for this one. So in this clip, I'm going to talk a little bit about that experience, why we may feel that, and how I've healed myself of that as best as I possibly can, in the hope that it may help you there at home. So we are known for our intense push-pull and running away or smothering type of behaviours. I know a lot of people I've met with borderline, we have a lot of issues around, oh, that person didn't text me back, or they didn't text me back straight away, or why didn't they call me, or we misinterpret facial expressions or things people say or do, and we can immediately go to worst case scenario and get whole things ticking over in our head that may or may not actually be even true. And that is a emotional roller coaster ride, and we are known to have very close friendships and relationships with people, so that when something happens where we feel abandoned, we feel the depth of the opposite feeling of abandonment as well. So for me, the reason that I believe that people with borderline personality disorder experience real or imagined, they have frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, is the reason that we do that is that we have actually felt abandoned in our lives. We have actually in the past experienced real abandonment, and we are reliving the script, playing the movie over and over again, repeat, same dynamic, same script, same thing playing out. So the first step is to recognize that at some point in our lives we may not be able to pinpoint what, when, how, where, or why, but at some point in our lives, most likely when we were children, we went through an experience or experiences where we felt completely abandoned, we felt completely alone, and that experience was cemented into some part of us. Now, with me, I was raised in a very loving family. I have a very loving family. I have a loving partner. I have loving friends. I have loving families. But I experienced a one-off incident of severe sexual trauma, rape by a neighbour whom my family didn't know. And so because I was threatened with death and I split that off, I wasn't able to speak about that. And back in the days when we were younger, there wasn't the same knowledge about child abuse, so I felt completely alone. I felt like there was no God, there was no love or safety in my core being, even though I had love around me and love of my life, and that's one of the main reasons that I've been able to recover and go on to become an advocate. So people can experience abandonment. Usually it's in the early years, it's with a parent or a caregiver, where they're just not able to be there for that child in the way that the child needs. And usually that is not intentional. Parents and carers have their own unresolved suffering and trauma. They may not have had role models of how to be properly attached and have a loving bond with a child. So children could be born into situations where their mum, for example, has postnatal depression and is unable to kiss and cuddle that child all the time and smile at that child all the time, and that child could feel a sense of internal abandonment even if it's not deliberate. Or a child who gets beaten frequently, that can cause severe feelings of abandonment, of, I needed to feel safe, I needed to feel connected, but I didn't. I felt beaten, I felt hit. That's going to get stored in the child. That's going to play out in the child when they're older. Emotional abuse, children who feel like they weren't meant to be born, they were a mistake, or they're a burden, or they're not wanted, or they're not needed, or they're not valued for who they actually are, or they need to be someone else, act as if they're someone else. That's going to make kids feel abandoned. They're going to know on a deep level if their caregivers and their parents love them for who they are. So these early childhood experiences of abandonment get stored in us, in our unconscious, and when we're older, they play out on the main stage of our lives. They play out in our intimate partnerships, they play out with our immediate family, they play out with our children, they play out with our best friends. We just movie script over and over again, repeating until we recognize, we name it. I'm feeling abandoned in this situation. Step 1. Step 2, this is actually related to an earlier incident of which I haven't yet fully understood, healed and integrated, but that I can do, that I can rewire my brain around these feelings. And I think with abandonment, there's the two sides to it. One is that feeling of enmeshment and wanting to smother someone, but the other is the running away and the disconnect. That it is also a fear of abandonment, and that's one that I went through in my life, where I always had a backup plan, I always had an exit strategy, and I always wanted to run away, and I did, and I moved a lot. So that kind of fear of abandonment, I'm going to abandon you before you abandon me, or outright, don't abandon me, smothering. Both is due to feeling abandoned. And the third way so it all involves conscious awareness, bringing information out, naming things, externalizing, integrating, becoming aware of what is happening now, how is this related to my past, having compassion for ourselves. Yeah, if I went through what you went through, Kate, then I'd probably be feeling and acting exactly the same as you, and what a champion that, you got through it. And, look at your own stuff. Deep down we know what we've survived to get here, to get labelled with BPD. And so self-compassion for you, there's a reason you've got these real or imagined intense fears of abandonment. And the third step, and this is the most important step, and this is my favourite step, the main way that I've healed myself of the abandonment issue is I stopped abandoning myself. I finally stopped. I stopped betraying myself. I stopped not honouring myself. I stopped lying to myself. I started listening to my own inner truth about what feels right for me, about what jobs I want to do, about what people I want to associate with, about what my health needs are, what my health priorities are, and what's important to me in my life. And when people cross my boundaries or treat me in a way that I don't feel that I deserve. I stick up for myself now. I stick up for what feels right. I say no when I don't want to do something, or if something's not right, I keep my cool as much as I can. And in doing all those things, that means that I'm not abandoning myself. I'm connected to my inner truth. I'm connected to my intuition. I'm connected to what feels right, and I honor that. And I speak my truth, and I set my boundaries and my limits, and I'm honest. And that is the best way ever that we can heal ourselves of abandonment, is to stop abandoning ourselves and start really being there for ourselves with compassion and kindness and warmth, and listening to ourselves and honouring ourselves and doing what's best for us, not other people, what's best for us. And powerful things happen when we do that. So I hope this clip has been some assistance to you. Feel free to write comments and offer all types of feedback. I'm open to receiving it all. If you know anyone that's suffering from abandonment and you feel like this clip might help them, please pass it on. And thank you very much for watching.